Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to the Meditation Realm, Planeswalkers. I'm Caleb, your guide to these blind eternities, and in today's video, we're looking over another one of the Wilds of Eldraine Commander decks. This time, we're looking over the other one, the Fae Dominion, the Faeries deck. This is pretty straightforward. It's a typo Faeries deck with a lot of really good fairies. Some good reprints, some new cards that are pretty sweet. We're going to check them out and see if we get lucky in our booster pack. See if there's some sweet new cards in that collector sample. It definitely varies. Sometimes you can get something really sweet. Sometimes you just get something kind of mediocre. You know, that's kind of how the gambling portion works. Lottery packs. Oh, I was like, oh shit, did we not get it? All right. Set that over here. Our new packaging for these. I wonder if they're going to continue doing like this. It seems to be like maybe a little less cardboard overall. And then we have the tokens on the inside here. Oops. 5 cents off every card now. Alright. And so yeah, it doesn't seem to me like it has the normal like tearaway seal. It almost looks like there's one there, but it's not the same. Yeah. Either way, we can get it out. Maybe there's again going a little cheaper in the packaging. Let's see what we got for our sweet fairies here. Here's the foil-etched thick version. These cards are pretty popular too. A lot of people like to use them, and then as the commander, and then the other commander card in the 99 of another deck. We have Tigwell, you guys tell me. Duke of Splendor, the face of the commander deck. He's a legendary fairy noble, 2/3 for 1, a blue and a black. Flying Death Touch. Other fairies you control get +1/+1. And whenever another fairy you control dies, you draw a card and you lose a life. Definitely a lot of card advantage here. Most notably, if you do build him, keep in mind that is not a May. That says you draw and you lose. So when they wipe your board, you are drawing however many cards and losing however much life to your fairies. So if you had 9 fairies on board plus this guy, there goes 10 of your life. Or 9 of your life, because it's another fairy. But still, hey, you'll draw 9 cards, but that's a lot of damage to suddenly take, especially if they got a card that partners with it. Massacre Worm into this guy, boom! That can be rough for you. Alright, we got Alayla, the Cunning Conqueror, a Fairy Warlock 2/4 for 2, a blue and a black with flying. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, create a 1/1 black fairy rogue creature token with flying. And whenever one or more fairies you control deal combat damage to a player, go target creature that player controls. So you can be able to create extra fairies as long as you're playing stuff during everybody's turns, and when you deal damage to people going over the top, you get to make them attack each other. Can definitely force the game to be a little more aggressive, and you just got to be able to get your fairies to go to everybody. Definitely, I think the better of the two as far as building for a commander. We have Archmage of Echoes, a fairy wizard 4/4 for 4 and a blue, flying, ward 2. Whenever you cast a fairy or wizard permanent spell, copy it. Very strong. Definitely for like either this deck or the wizard's deck. Either way, this is just doubling up on your permanents. Is very powerful, super powerful. We have a Malleable Imposter, a fairy shapeshifter for a 3 and a blue. It's got flash of flying. It's a 0/0. When it enters the battlefield, or you may have a Malleable Imposter enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature an opponent controls, except as a fairy shapeshifter in addition to its other types and has flying. So it's a clone that can only copy your opponent's stuff, and it has flying. Flying flash clone. Misleading Signpost. This is one of the cards I actually thought was pretty good when I saw previews. It is an artifact for 2 and a blue with flash. When it enters the battlefield, during the declare attacker step, you may reselect which player or permanent target attacking creature is attacking. And it's a mana rock. It taps to add a blue. So it's one of the 3-drop mana rocks. It comes into play immediately. You can add mana. It has flash. You can do it on your opponent's turn to be able to do this combat trick and send something else after an opponent. Pretty strong in my opinion. One of the better mana rocks, and if it was white it would enter the battlefield tapped, but it's not, so you can at least use it right away. Shadow Puppeteers is a 7-drop fairy wizard, so 6 and a blue. It's a 4/4 with flying and ward 2. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 black fairy rogue creature tokens with flying. Pardon me. Whenever a creature you control with flying attacks, you may have it become a red dragon with base power and toughness 4/4 in addition to its other colors and types until end of turn. Oh, okay, so that's why this guy is so expensive. You don't want to have this guy be too early. Yeah, I mean, it's a big drop that makes all of your cheap fairies suddenly huge. So all of your 1/1s all of a sudden become 4/4 red dragons. So, rawr. Definitely a big hitter for these types of fairy decks. Go wide, go big. Lightwing Bandit. It's a fairy rogue, 3 and a black with flying and death touch. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, look at the top card of that player's library, then exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. So it's another one of those exile your opponent's stuff and be able to play it throughout the game type of cards. But it's only during your opponent's turn that it triggers, so again, kind of sequences with that other commander a little better. Fairy Blade Crafter, a 2/2 fairy rogue for 2 and a black with flying. Whenever one or more fairy creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. And when it dies, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is its power. Nice. So it gets big with all of your tiny dudes hitting your opponents, and then including itself. So it gets big when it hits your opponent, and then they do kill it off, your opponents lose a bunch of life and you gain a bunch of life. Definitely a strong card for these type of decks. Nettling Nuisance, fairy rogue, flying, 3/1 for 2 and a black. Whenever one or more fairies you control deal combat damage to a player, that player creates a 4/2 red pirate creature token with this creature can't block, and that token is goaded for the rest of the game. So another way to kind of force some aggression. It gives them a pirate medium stat, so it's pretty easy to kill off, but it forces some aggression because it's goaded. You have Tidewell Scouring. It's a 6-drop sorcery. You may cast Tidewell Scouring as though it had flash by tapping 3 untapped creatures you control with flying in addition to paying its other costs. Destroy all creatures, then create 3 black fairy rogue creature tokens with flying. So basically, you can instant board wipe. If your opponent's boards are too scary, you tap some dudes, give this flash, blow up the board while they're attacking you. It's like, alright, you had a trick. You turn all your guys into 10/10s with tramples. My fairies ain't dealing with this. I'm going to blow up the board, and they got a couple more fairies to have something back. Not bad. Definitely a good trick out of nowhere to be able to blow your opponents out. And then we got the reprints. Good fairy reprint right here. Brazen Borrower. It's a good mythic. It's been reprinted enough times. It doesn't have too much value, but dig through time. And then, then Elandra. It's always been strong. Hullbreaker Horror. It's not a fairy, but definitely really strong when you're playing stuff during each opponent's turns. Again, these decks have been kind of like hit and miss on like the value of the reprints we're getting. You know, Sower used to be like, wow, what a great card, and now it's like less than a $2 rare because it's been reprinted so many times. This is a good reprint as well. I think this is the second time in the last year, because it's a one-sided board wipe. But we was initially in the 5-color Commander deck with the Dragon, but it hadn't got reprinted in so long until Masters recently, and here it is again. It gets reprinted in a Commander deck 2 months later. It's like the value of some of these cards just really are not holding. And then, let's see, what do they give us for... I'm kind of curious what they give us for non-basic lands in this. So we got those 6. And then we're going to kind of blow through our commons and uncommons here. This is another one I think would be a great commander to actually play. 2/2 for blue and a black, flash flying. Whenever another fairy enters the battlefield under control, each opponent loses a life. So it just continues to drain your opponents with all those little creatures entering the battlefield. So ping, 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 ping. But, again, so many options to be able to choose for a blue-black fairy commander. That's why they give you these typo decks. You can definitely build whatever you want. Alright, some okay cards. Definitely a lot to be able to easily take out and replace, because there's some definitely some mediocre cards. Alright, what are the other basic lands here? Bajikuba. Alright. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 basic lands. Wow, Wizards. That's so many basics. And what do they give us for actual blue-black lands? So we got Tainted Isle. It requires you to have a swamp, which is, these decks you can do. What's our other duel? We got Dimir Aqueduct. Command Tower is always in here. Choked Estuary, Darkwater Catacombs, Exotic Orchard gets printed in literally every deck that's not a monocolor deck. I swear, it is in every non-monocolor commander deck. At least they included a Faeries Matter land in here. They didn't do that with the Slivers, the Sliver Hive, in the commander deck that came out last. Yeah, man, they missed out on giving us some other cards here. I feel like they could have been better on the lands here. There's some other good blue-black lands. We didn't get the filter land. We didn't get the, the check land. Some misses there, but all right. I feel like they've been kind of missing on the lands, but the decks themselves have overall been pretty good, but the lands have been really hit and miss sometimes. Like, sometimes they've been really great for some of the decks. Better, let me phrase that, they're better than many years ago, but they feel subpar to what they could be with what our volume is. All right, let's see if we can make it up here. Foil Awesome Mythic. Is it? Can we get something? No, it's a rare, and it's another Raging Battle Mouse. We got double Raging Battle Mouses, guys, between my two boxes. And a Raid Bombardment. Blah! I guess I got to rage with that Battle Mouse, because, man, that's not a terrible pull for our collectors' samples in both those boxes. But anyways, I'm always happy to have you here, Planeswalkers. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't yet already, like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you here on the next video.